Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. Got many places you could be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. Our internet tonight is, for some reason, I got 1 gigabyte of service over here, and it's been sucking for the past several days. So hopefully we get through this show without it interrupting or being blotchy, or whatever you want to call it, where it goes in and out. Let's start with what's happening at the moment with Trump, Israel, Gaza, Palestine, the Middle East. As of right now, Trump's plan to get the hostages out of Hamas is holding. Gaza and Palestine, those hostages are about to be freed. It's about to become reality. Sadly, those that have been screaming the loudest against Israel and Trump, holding free Palestine protest on college campuses across America, are silent about this historic moment in time. That'd be none other than Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and AOC, aka the Squad. Why are they silent? Unless Hamas goes back on the deal, President Donald Trump has pulled off the impossible. Pulled off something that presidents before him, both Republicans and Democrats, have tried and failed, bringing peace to the planet, that part of the planet. I, for one, can't wait to hear what Omar, Tlaib, and AOC will say if they say anything. Giving Trump credit for anything goes against their liberal ideology and their DNA. They are horrible, subhuman pieces of garbage in our Congress. All that being said, Donald Trump is deploying at the moment 200 troops, our combat troops, to the ground over there to monitor the Gaza plan, the implementation. Our troops will join soldiers from Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates to provide oversight. Troops will be under the direction of U.S. Central Command Commander Admiral Brad Cooper. His role will be to oversee, observe, make sure there are no violations, excursions. And as of right now, we're looking at possibly this weekend or the first part of next week before we are supposed to see the hostages being released and the bodies of those that are dead returned as well. What's different this go around is it happens in stages, but this time the first stage is you release the hostages. Where in the past they were going to allow it to happen over steps and over a period of time, and Trump finally said, no, we're not doing that shit anymore. It's either you release them or we're just going to come in there and just kick the shit out of you with our military forces, NATO forces, as well as Israel, and be done with this once and for all. So let's hope that this stays the course and that these hostages are released soon. They've been held there for way too long. What happened should have never happened in the first place. And sadly, we have members of Congress that are sympathizing with Hamas, AOC, Tlaib, and Omar. Absolutely pathetic. Speaking of pathetic, boy, this one is amazing. North Carolina Democrat Congressman Cecil Brockman has been arrested and charged with felonies tied to alleged sexual misconduct with a minor. Representative Brockman represents Guilford County in North Carolina and is facing 2 counts of statutory rape of a child between the ages of 13 and 15 and 2 counts of indecent liberties with a child, according to court records and law enforcement. The 41-year-old congressman is being held without bond at the High Point Detention Center in High Point, North Carolina. The magistrate's order says Brockman is accused of engaging in sex acts with a 15-year-old in August and is twice alleged to have committed and attempted to commit a lewd, lascivious act upon a juvenile, according to the Associated Press. According to WRAL, court documents indicate that Brockman attempted to contact the alleged victim while they were hospitalized and sought to use his status to gain information on the whereabouts of the victim. Brockman, who was first elected to the House in 2014 and has served since 2015, represents portions of the High Point and Guilford County area. He has served on committees related to education and appropriations. Reaction from state leaders was swift. Representative Brian Cohen of Durham, North Carolina, a Democrat, called the charges deeply disturbing. These allegations are against public service. He should resign immediately. No one is above the law, Cohen wrote in a post on X. That's surprising that you said that as a Democrat. North Carolina Democrat Party also released a statement joining calls for Brockman's resignation. North Carolina Democrat Party calls on Representative Brockman to immediately resign. The profound seriousness of these criminal charges makes it impossible for him to represent this community. The statement read, House Majority Leader Robert Reeves, Democrat Chapman, told WRAL, this is a developing situation and it is important to let the legal process unfold. He added that the allegations, if true, would disqualify him from public office. Republican leadership echoed those calls. House Majority Leader Brandon Johnson, Republican of Columbus, North Carolina, condemned the alleged conduct. This behavior is appalling and has no place in our Congress. I'm calling for Brockman's resignation immediately, Jones wrote on a post on X. And wow, if it's true, if he had sex with children, he will join the ranks of many Democrat members of Congress that have done the same. And even a few Republicans for that matter. They don't have their hands completely clean in any of this kind of crooked behavior that we see happening from time to time. And speaking of crooked behavior, federal grand jury in Virginia has indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James on charges of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Lindsay Hagelins, said James faces up to 30 years in prison per count, up to a $1 million fine on each count and forfeiture if she's convicted. No one is above the law. The charges, as alleged in this case, represent international criminal acts and tremendous breach of public trust. The facts and the law in this case are clear, and we will continue following them to ensure that justice is served. In a statement, James said the charges were part of President Donald Trump's effort to impose political retribution at any cost. Of course you would say that. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me, replace them with someone who is blindly loyal, not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country, James said. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our justice system. I stand strongly behind my office litigation against the Trump organization, she added. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not on politics. And then she set the Hunter Biden crack pipe down. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his two sons were liable for fraud. Earlier this year, the Justice Department opened an investigation of James for alleged mortgage fraud after James successfully won a civil case last year against Trump and the Trump Organization over allegations of faulty business practices. Go figure. And she was up to that same kind of shit. In a letter, Federal Housing Finance Director Pete Walt alleged that James could have engaged in mortgage fraud by making false or misleading statements on property records, like a loan application that said her property in Virginia is her primary residence. The building record stating her multi-family Brooklyn property incorrectly has 5 residents instead of 4, and a mortgage application that falsely states James was her father's spouse. In September, a housing and financial banker familiar with the investigation into James said that she is under scrutiny for, in at least one instance, declaring an investment property she owns as her primary or secondary residence, which would give her better loan terms. James, a second-term Democrat, has denied any wrongdoing. She previously said she made an error while filling out the form related to the home purchase, but fixed it. She noted that she never tried to deceive the lender. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space, she said today. And so today, I'm not fearful, I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I'll continue to do my job. And of course, Senator Chuck, I shut the government down Schumer, Democrat in New York, criticized Trump, saying he has used the Justice Department as his personal attack dog to go after his political opponents. This is what tyranny looks like. President Trump is using the Justice Department as his personal attack dog, targeting Attorney General Tish James for a crime of prosecuting him for fraud and winning, he said. One U.S. attorney already refused this case. So Trump handpicked an unqualified hack that would go after another political enemy. This isn't justice, this is revenge. And it should horrify every American who believes no one is above the law. Hagelin was appointed to oversee the case by Trump after her predecessor, Eric Siebert, was ousted. Siebert had reportedly expressed doubts about bringing the case against James, and former FBI Director James Comey, both longtime critics of Trump. Trump has previously called for James to be charged over the past several months. Those of us on the president's enemies list, and it is a long list and growing, will not be intimidated. We will not be deterred. Adam Schiff told reporters today. We will do our jobs. We will stand up to this president. New York Governor Kathy Hochul criticized Thursday's indictment as the weaponization of the Justice Department to target James. New Yorkers know at New York Senate Attorney James, AG, for her integrity, her independence, and her relentless fight for justice, she wrote on X. What we're seeing today is nothing less than the weaponization of the Justice Department to punish those who hold the powerful accountable. James' initial appearance is scheduled for October 24th in Norfolk, Virginia, before Magistrate Judge Douglas E. Miller. Thursday's indictment comes weeks after James Comey was charged with lying to Congress. When the Biden-Harris administration turned the Department of Justice and FBI into a political weapon against their opponents, you idiots were silent. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, how dare Trump weaponize the justice system? Weaponize the shit out of it, sir. And just to give you a little laugh, check out this.
James Comey here. Well, I just got indicted for being a lying, corrupt piece of shit. So I just want to ask President Trump, please forgive me, Mr. President. My tiny white ass is not ready to share a jail cell with a big black man that looks like Michelle Obama with a huge schlong. I saw her dancing on Ellen, and honestly, I don't think I can take all that dangling dong in one night. I hope you forgive me.
Nobody's forgiving you. You hung yourself, period. You testified in front of Congress and perjured yourself. We didn't know it at the time, but after Trump left office, you went on a speaking tour, telling everybody what you really did behind closed doors, and you then told the truth. Or was it the truth when you were in front of Congress? One of them is a lie, sir. Oh, and we read your book. You, James Comey, hung yourself. Now, as I've said many, many times, Democrat governors, Democrat mayors refuse to admit there is a horrible crime problem in their cities. They're screaming and hollering that Donald Trump is only sending the forces into Democrat-run cities. And that's true, he is, because in Republican-run cities, we don't put up with that criminal element of society. We arrest those that sex traffic women and children, run drugs, attack police officers, loot and burn down stores. We go after gang members and illegal criminals. Democrats don't. That's why their cities are turning into shitholes. Refuse to admit that their soft on crime policies don't work. Refuse to admit there's illegal gang violence in their cities. And fighting the Trump administration was just trying to make their cities safe again. Fighting to keep Trump out and allow their cities to continue to be crime-ridden shitholes. It just doesn't make any sense. Here is yet another example. At least 16 dead bodies have been discovered in and around Houston, Texas waterways in the past couple of months, sparking concerns of a serial killer, which city leaders are working to dispel. Houston Democrat mayor has said police have no evidence of a serial killer, but experts are calling for an extensive investigation into these deaths. Something is afoot, said Joseph Galligan, a retired New York PD sergeant and criminal justice professor at Penn State, Lehigh Valley. Coincidence? Unlikely. A careful inspection of each case is warranted, including the 48 hours prior to the discovery of their disappearances. 5 of the bodies were discovered in a 5-day span last month, according to a Democrat-appointed Houston police chief, No Diaz. There is no evidence, I repeat, no evidence to suggest that any of these indictments or any of these incidents are connected, Diaz told reporters. Captain Salma Zia, commander of the Houston Police Department Homicide Division, said the youngest victim was 20 years old. According to authorities later revealed the bodies belonged to both male and females, aging between the ranges of 20 and 60. Rumors stir fear and anxiety in our communities, the chief said. It is important to rely on verified information and investigations. However, authorities have discovered at least 2 more bodies since he made those remarks. According to CHRON, CHRON Houston local news, the total dead now is up to 18. Houston Democrat mayor, and I thought I had a picture of him. Yeah, I got a picture of him right here. There he is. John Whitmer slammed the misinformation and wild speculation online and from political candidates surrounding the case at a news briefing. We do not have any evidence that there is a serial killer loose in Houston, he said. Let me say that again. There is no evidence that there is a serial killer loose in the streets of Houston, except 18 dead bodies just happen to pop up. He called the number of deaths alarming, but said he asked for patience as police investigate. He said, I grew up in Houston. Unfortunately, drownings in our bayous is not a new phenomenon. There are 2,500 miles of waterways around our city, he said, as well as a homeless population living outdoors. Whitmer suggested that when homeless people die, their friends often throw them in the water. Unfortunately, the homeless, when they pass, often end up in the bayou, he said. He also pointed to alcohol use and mental health problems as potential factors in the deaths. But God forbid there's a possible problem in Houston. Possible serial killer out there, illegal or legal. Bottom line, why did Democrats refuse to admit their policies suck? And furthermore, why turn down federal assistance to help clean up these crime-ridden Democrat cities? Why? Why would you do that? What would possess you to think that the people aren't going to realize that the reason Trump wants to send in the National Guard and federal troops is because your cities have gone to hell in a handbasket? Women are being raped, children are being molested, people are being shot and killed, murdered, drug trafficking, sex trafficking of women and children. Horrible freaking shit is happening in every Democrat-run city across this country. And yet, when Trump says enough's enough, I'm going to send your cops help, they're fighting against it. They're saying we don't have a crime problem. America knows the crime problem in Chicago, in Portland, Oregon, in Seattle, Washington, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, Memphis, Atlanta, Philadelphia. You name a place where Democrats are in charge, we know the crimes there. We know the horrific crimes that are taking place. And you Democrat mayors and Democrat governors step up to the microphone and call Trump a wannabe dictator for wanting to send in federal forces to fix the problem that you refuse to fix. And you think that's going to win you elections. You think that's going to give you kudos come midterms. I can't wrap my head around it. I can't figure out why you think that's okay. Speaking of Chicago, why don't we just listen to one of the residents talk about it?
To be okay with it by going out and voting for Kamala Harris to continue what she was doing with the open borders, right? Now that ICE is there to actually do something about it, right? With Trump's mandate, now you all are boohoo, whining and crying, complaining that ICE is coming to black neighborhoods. What the hell is wrong with y'all? Where else are they supposed to go when that's where y'all allowed them to go? You see, Democrats didn't put these illegals in Oak Brook or Oak Park or Evanston, in any of the white neighborhoods, yet you got the white liberals downtown protesting to keep those people there because they know that they're in black neighborhoods. And y'all goofy. Y'all falling for this. Y'all voted for Kamala Harris, and now y'all are protesting ICE coming to black neighborhoods to remove these criminal invaders. Y'all are calling ICE racist for coming to the black neighborhoods. Well, why are they coming to the black neighborhoods? Because that's where you all allowed them to go. So tell me you a goofy Democrat plantation slave without telling me you a goofy Democrat plantation slave.
Bingo. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. It does not make sense. You can't connect the dots to this. Why? Why are Democrat governors and Democrat mayors fighting against Trump sending in help to fix the problem? Other than the fact that you don't care about the American citizens in your cities, or that you're relying on the criminal element to vote for you. I don't know which one it is. I just know that it's pretty darn sad, and it's not going to win you anything come midterms. In fact, you're going to lose your ass in such a way that is going to be unheard of. And many of us are going to be very, very happy about that. I want to share something with you, an email that I received from a Gold Star mother. And if you don't know what Gold Star parents are, they are family members whose loved one died while serving this country. Angel families, for instance, are those who lost their loved one to an illegal alien that killed them. And she wrote me this email, and it really resonated with me. And she said I could share it. Just did not want her name out there because she doesn't want to be attacked by the left, which happens when I speak of someone or talk about people, when I drop their name out there, or even people I bring on the show, for crying out loud, they go and try and attack them and attack their workplace, and just, they're horrible. The subject in response to Charlie Kirk's death. Doug, I've been a fan of your show for many years. Thank you for giving a voice to us military families, especially Gold Star families, which seem to have no voice. In light of Charlie's assassination, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth responded to incidents of U.S. military personnel celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk on Thursday, warning that the department was tracking everyone engaging in such behavior, especially online. It's appalling that Mr. Hegseth even had to address this with our military. I would like to say the military is entitled to their opinion. However, if any service member is blasting this online, which they are, then they obviously deserve what they get. They know better. It's spelled out in the UCMJ. Then they got the nerve to cry and complain when disciplined. Generation Z are totally devoid of any humanity, compassion, morals, and common decency, especially in the military. With that said, any service member openly celebrating the death of a man for his free speech, regardless whether they like his speech or not, is not fit for service in America. They absolutely should be dismissed from service. Obviously, they were never taught to defend the First Amendment, whether they personally like the speech or not, much less the rest of the amendments. They're better suited to serve Venezuela or North Korea. I'm very afraid at what I see transpiring within the ranks of the military in regards to free speech and defending all of the Constitution and not just parts that they like. It's a microscope of the rest of America. I believe the mindset has started in grade school all the way through college. the education department was used to indoctrinate our children into communism. This is absolutely must be addressed. And how many times have you heard me say that? This goes back to the far left infiltrating our school system. Conservative, God-fearing Christians send their children off to school only for them to come home radicalized, full of hate and demonized. This is actually what occurred with Charlie's assassin. His parents sent him off to college and he came home full of hate and Satan, full of murder for Christians, and he murdered Charlie. That boy was raised a Christian. The broader prospect is for years, Christian schools and churches have been targeted, and now Christians speaking are being murdered. Not a word from the media, the government, or the FBI about this. This is terrorism against Christians. And apparently, a lot of young service members support Charlie's death because they didn't like his free speech. And then in big bold letters, she writes, "My army husband did not fight or die for this." Then she quotes Matthew 13, 24, 30. "The wheat and tares are being separated as we speak. Be very afraid." Thank you for your time or taking the time to read this. I pray for your son, Tyler. He is dating Jezebel. And many of you may know that my son has been infiltrated by the far left. He's dating a liberal, and she has convinced him that Republicans and conservatives and anyone that supported Donald Trump are racist, bigots, fascists, communists, Nazis. In kind regards, a Gold Star wife, Sergeant First Class, 82nd Airborne. I read you the full Matthews 13, 24, 30. Another parable he put forth to them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while men sleep, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servant of the owner came and said to him, 'Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares?' He said to them, 'An enemy has done this.' The servant said to him, 'Do you want us then to go and gather them up?' But he said, 'No, lest while you gather up the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until harvest. And at the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, first gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into the barn.'" Thank you for sending me that message. I do everything in my power to support our Gold Star families and our Angel families. And your husband's death is not in vain. There are more Americans that support you than those that are against you. And the same thing goes for all peace-loving, law and order, God-fearing Christians. You may have seen this. I'm sure you have. If not, I'm going to show it to you. And it is a prime example of just how sad the Democrat leadership is right now. When a Republican member of Congress happens to be in the halls of Congress, is approached by a Democrat member of Congress who happens to be the senior up there, Hankum Jeffries. And the congressman's from New York, who's very concerned about what Jeffries and the Schumers have done to our country. So I want you to listen very closely to what transpires between these two. And it's very telling. It goes back to what I've been saying for so many years, that when Democrats and liberals are losing the argument and no longer can put out facts because they don't have any, because you've proven them wrong, they go with name calling or trying to just shut you up and getting nasty. And that's exactly what happened here.
Why don't we sign on right now?
Ask a question. Did you get permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss Donald Trump?
You can easily extend
Did your
the
boss,
ACA
did your
right
boss
now.
Donald Trump
He's
give
not
you?
my boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know,
did you vote to shut
let
it
me
down?
ask you a question.
For years, you
Well,
always lecture about how we need to keep the government
You're
open.
making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You can easily sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
can
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing
here is
clout.
you.
You're an
You
embarrassment.
can sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a
You
question.
have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me ask
Why
you a
won't you
question.
sign on
Let me ask
to
you a
it?
question.
It's a
Let
clean
me ask you
extension
a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax cut
largest-
bill that gave
the
the largest
largest
tax
cut-
cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're
Do
embarrassing
you want
yourself
to
right
you want
now.
to cut the standard deduction in
The
half? Is that
largest
what you
cut
want
to
to do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
proved
history.
out
You voted
waste,
for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New
Let me ask you a
York,
question.
pointed out that $1.2
If
billion
you're
were wasted.
Listen, you're not gonna
wasted,
talk. You're not gonna talk to
wasted
me. You're not
on
gonna talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why
Go
don't you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
Because you
is
showed
that-
up.
is that the way to
you
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill.
to this. You can extend it right
A
now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire
So
donors.
90% of
So they can
Americans,
get a permanent extension.
90% of
The
Americans
working
take the
class
standard
Americans
deduction.
can't. Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction,
Is that
right?
right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That
No
would have been a
one-
massive tax increase
no
on
one-
Americans all across the country.
You're
You support
here,
that?
unfortunately.
You're against
to
lifting
do
the cap on
bidding
salt?
of your billionaire donors.
You're the
That's
billionaire
correct.
donors lifting the
That's
cap on
correct.
salt. We put a income cap in
Why
place.
are you here right now?
An income
Where the-
cap.
where
Well,
the rest
didn't
of
you
your
want all
Republican
Republicans
colleagues?
to be here?
Where
I'm
the
here.
rest of your
You
Republican
wanted
colleagues?
Republicans to be here. I'm here.
Why are you
And by
here?
the way,
Why-
you can
Why-
pass an ACA extension right now. Sign
Did your
on to this
boss-
bill.
Did your boss
Sign
Donald
on
Trump-
to the bill.
Is your boss Donald Trump behind it?
HR 5145. Why don't you get on
Right.
it?
Is your boss Donald Trump behind it?
Why won't you get on
But
it?
you don't work for the American people.
Oh, I do. I
You
work
don't
for the people of New York, and I work for the people of my district.
Is that why you? Is that
I'm
why
here.
You got 140.
And by the way, I voted for a clean CR to keep the government open and funded. You voted to shut it
You're
down.
embarrassing yourself right now.
Yeah, leader, with all due
Why
respect,
you would say
you're
why
the
you-
one,
why you playing yourself?
you're the one
Why you
who
playing
actually
yourself
voted
with
to
these
shut
theatrics?
the government down.
Actually, you
It's
know
sad.
that's not true.
It's sad. You voted to shut the government
Listen,
down.
do Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the President?
Right, and
correct?
you're smart enough to know
Is
that you
right?
need 60 votes in the Senate,
Is that
right?
right? No.
Do you need 60 votes in the Senate
Was
or no?
60 votes needed to pass your one big ugly bill?
Reconciliation, which you
Was
did with
60
the IRA,
was
and
60
boy, that really reduced inflation.
Are
You
you
did a
trying to
great job
elevate
there.
yourself because you're afraid
I'm not
you're
trying to
about lose
elevate myself.
re-election?
No, I'm not going to lose re-election.
Mike,
You spent $42 million last cycle.
Mike,
You didn't do
Mike,
that
let me
great.
say something. Why aren't you running for governor right now? You spent
Because I
just
actually
a year and a half.
enjoy this job, and I'm here to do
You
it. And
enjoy-
by the way,
you enjoy- you
you
enjoy
could actually
embarrassing
pass,
yourself?
you could actually
You
pass
enjoy being
a
elected
subsidy
for Donald
right
Trump?
now
Is
to
that right?
ensure that people don't have healthcare premiums going up. Why won't you support this one-year
Let
bill?
me ask you a question.
Tom Swazi's on it, Jared Golden,
Let me ask you a question.
Marie
Let me ask you a
Blusenkamp
question.
Perez.
Let me ask
Are
you a
they
question.
wrong?
Your
Al
other,
Davis?
your other boss,
Are they wrong?
your other boss, Mike Johnson. I challenged him to a debate
Yeah.
on the floor. Did he send you?
No, I'm here
On
on my
his behalf,
behalf
is
of
he
my
afraid to
constituents,
debate?
because
Is that
you
right?
shut the government down. And my constituents are suffering as a result of your ridiculous ploy because you're so afraid of Zohran Mamdani. By the way, when are you endorsing him?
By the way,
do you endorse him for mayor?
First of all, are
you going to endorse him for mayor?
Listen, you're a complete and total embarrassment right now.
Oh, why is that? Because you don't want to answer the question?
Is this supposed to be a video for your
You
failed
don't want
election?
to. You don't want to answer the question. Do you support Zohran? By the way, did you see his statement yesterday?
Listen.
An embarrassment on October 7th, blaming the Jews. You support that? Should he be the Democratic nominee for mayor?
First of all, I don't answer to you.
Should he be the Democratic mayor? Should he be the Democratic nominee for mayor?
Whatever questions I need to answer about.
Okay, so you think his statement yesterday was okay?
First of all,
that's sad.
First of all,
it's unfortunate.
Don't come with this phony.
These are bills.
No.
These are bills. They're not phony. They're
It's
real
not a bill
bills.
that Republicans are even prepared to bring to the floor.
There's 11 Republicans on it. There's 4 Democrats. It's a bipartisan bill to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. If you believe in it so much, why won't you sign on to it?
Do you understand that?
You could get your whole conference to sign on to that. Your whole conference could sign on to this.
There are 220 Republicans
right
in the House right now.
You have 215 Democrats.
With 11?
You have 215
Right?
Democrats. Well, how many votes does it take in the House?
Are you-
218.
Are you mathematically talented?
No, I think you are. You have 215 Democrats. You could all sign on to this today with 11 Republicans.
Do me
It'd be
a
great.
favor. I've indulged you. I've given you your 15
You haven't answered any of the questions.
You're a complete and total embarrassment.
Yeah.
You're embarrassing yourself in your district right now, and you're going down to defeat.
That was embarrassing, and it wasn't for the Republican. That's Hankam Jeffries making an absolute fool of himself, unable to answer any of the questions. Can't answer straight up questions without lying. Just sitting there, spinning it and trying to push it away, and then telling the man to shut up, shut his mouth. That's why I'm not in Congress. Because I'd be handcuffed shortly after he said that, because I'd have throat punched that motherfucker. I don't put up with shit like that. I give him kudos for keeping his shit together. But that's the problem with Democrats. When they lose the argument, they turn it into something personal and start saying nasty, horrible things to you. The embarrassment is on you, Hankam Jeffries. You are an embarrassment to our country and Congress. Now, all that being said, there is something that many of you have probably not seen. And I know that if you support Donald Trump, you're not going to like this. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of hate for sharing this. Because many that support Trump do not believe that we should say anything negative about him in any way, shape, or form. Even if it's true, we should just give cover for him. Remember when he said he could grab a woman by the pussy? Well, a photo has actually been released, and you're going to exclusively see it right here on the Douglas Ducote Show, of our president, Donald J. Trump, grabbing a woman in her private parts.
Show you is pretty controversial. They finally surfaced photographs of Donald Trump grabbing up, and I'm disgusted. He is supposed to be the president of the United States, and yet this is what we have. We have a guy that goes around grabbing pussies.
Her name was Kitty. Made her money.
Gotcha. Anyhow, you have many places you can be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching us live tonight on the YouTube channel or Rumble or X, please like, subscribe, share it with your family and friends. Let them know that Mr. Doug every now and then says 1 or 2 or 20 bad words. So if they got little ones in the room, be able to pay attention to that. Let's keep our thoughts and prayers on this deal coming true and everything falling into place to get these hostages released. And if that works out, then Trump's only got one left to do, and that would be to get Russia to stop what they're doing in Ukraine, which is an ongoing process as we speak. And if he doesn't win the Nobel Peace Prize for this, then that award is worth absolutely nothing, because they gave it to Barack Obama for doing what? What did he do? Google that. Google it and see what he did. I'm not even going to tell you. That's your homework. Just check it out. Trump has done something that no one else has been able to do as a president of the United States of America. Stop endless wars. Bring peace to the Middle East and American cities run by Democrats that have been taken over by crime and being destroyed. And the Democrats and liberals are fighting him to the death because they can't give Trump credit for anything. Everything's working out wonderful for the world and for our country right now because of Donald J. Trump. Are there some things that are wrong? Yeah. Are there a lot of things that need to be fixed still? You bet there are. But anybody that can physically say they're not better off now than they were under any of the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, if you can say you're not better off today than you were then you need to put down that crack pipe because you seriously have something wrong with you. Food prices are coming down and down. Gas prices are down. The economy's doing great. The stock market's doing great. We're bringing in billions of dollars for these tariffs. There are some things with the tariffs that are gonna hurt, that we're gonna feel the pain of until it gets leveled out. Trump told us this going in, and it's common sense. But the whole point of this is to make it fair. Trade's supposed to be fair, not one-sided, where we pay a huge amount of money to sell our product to another country and they don't pay shit to sell their product here. That's not fair trade. So there's a lot to be done. We still got a little over 3 years to get it accomplished. The end of 3 years from now, we're already the best country on planet Earth. Now look what this administration is doing for us. And yet the liberals and Democrats sit out there and continue to say that Donald Trump's a fascist, he's a dictator, he's a Nazi. They just, while they're going out there putting the same gas in their car that you are, buying the same groceries that you are. If they invest in the stock market, investing in the same stock market that you are. I'm happy with my stock market portfolio. I don't know. Couldn't make this shit up if you tried. You're just stuck on stupid. Something breaks between now and next week. I will be sure to do a video about it or do a live show. Other than that, I hope whatever you're doing this weekend, you're safe. You look out for yourself and your family. Remember that thanks to Biden-Harris, we have a lot of bad people that have managed to get across and were not captured that they're trying to find and locate. Some of them are actual Middle Eastern terrorists. We know this because the DOJ and the FBI under Biden-Harris, as well as Trump now, have told us this. It's factual. Hopefully they will find them before they kill us. As always, please Say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Have a wonderful and safe evening, Friday tomorrow, and the weekend. And I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Good night, everyone.